Christy is recording this so that we can, as always, share it later. And first, the Superintendent Arnson, do you have any opening remarks?
Hold on. Good morning. Thank you all. Let's go ahead and get this thing going. Good to see all of you. Hope you're all well. Had a great discussion this morning, just on a side note, with a pediatric doctor out of Kalispell area. And I know a lot of our schools are looking at our health experts on the opening of schools. So we'll be having a partnership with the American Association for the Academics of Pediatrics here. And that'll probably happen in 2 weeks, where we'll invite our school leaders. And if I have anyone on here from School Boards Association, would love to have them also partake, where it would be a Q&A regarding experts dealing with children and understanding the governor's directive and how the overlay with the CDC and might be in our health and safety as we reopen our schools. So with that, I wish you all well. Thank you. Thanks, Dylan.
Thank you, Superintendent. So the majority of the agenda today is discussing the announcement last week that the governor's office made regarding the use of coronavirus relief funds to support school safety and transportation. So we're pleased to have McCall Flynn with the governor's office and Nancy Hall with the budget office with us today to talk about that on OPI's end. We also have our finance experts, Ken Bailey and Paul Taylor. So with that, I will turn it over to McCall and Nancy first off for an update.
Thanks, Dylan. I will walk through some of the questions that the superintendent sent over asking for clarification on. And then, of course, if there's any questions, we're happy to take them. So just again, schools will be asked, or I guess I'll back up. So $75 million last week was allocated to schools for reopening purposes. Of the $75 million, $10 million will be held for incremental transportation costs. $65 million will be distributed on a per A and B basis to the 155, 294 budgeted A and B, as the A and B numbers released when Mayfair's opened for budgeting last Friday. So it's approximately $418.50 per budgeted A and B. So what we'll do is we'll ask that schools use a submittable application process that we've been using for other grants. It basically just asks that schools certify that they will use the funds for COVID-related expenses. A final report of expenditures will also be due in January 2021. The report's really simple. It just asks for a breakdown of the expenses. We're not asking for invoices or a specific report, just something that says these are the things that we spent the money on. As of now, we're hoping that the application will go live Friday. We're on track to do that Friday morning. And then the timeline from there will be applications that are submitted by July 31st will receive funding August 7th or by August 7th. Applications that are submitted by August 14th will receive funding by August 21st. So there's only 2 deadlines and 2 payments. Again, the final application deadline is August 14th. And we can get this all in writing too once we launch the application on Friday. And I'll, of course, tell you all where to find it. And then as far as allowable uses, again, allowable uses are for COVID-related expenses between March 1st and December 30th, 2022. This will be outlined in the application. If folks want, an idea of what some of those are, I'm happy to talk further about those. Nancy, anything I may have missed? I think those were all the pieces that folks asked us to talk about. If there's anything else, happy to take questions.
I don't have anything else to put in. McCall, this is Ken Bailey. Are you saying these applications are going to include the transportation piece as well, or the 65 million?
Ken, it'll just include the 65 million. We do ask one question, are you considering using transportation funds? It's a yes or no. It's only for our knowledge to figure out kind of what we're working with, but it will not include transportation at this time, no.
Thank you.
McCall, and maybe several OPI staff could weigh in on this too. We had a task force meeting for the reduction of lead in schools a couple weeks ago, and the question came up about purchasing new water fountains or retrofitting existing ones so that you can fill water bottles with it instead of just drink from the fountain. And we didn't know if that would be an allowable expense for COVID-related activities. And Tracy, you may have been in on this conversation too. Do we have any kind of an answer on that?
Dianne, this is Nancy. And I do not believe that that could be a COVID-related expense, because those are things we've been working on for quite a while before COVID came into place. So expenses that were, and again, it wasn't in the budget, but that is not what this money is for.
Diane, I would just add, for the CARES Act funding, the ESSER funds that OPI sent out, the no-touch water fountains to refill bottles is an allowable expense, because it relates directly to students not touching the water fountains.
Okay.
Any follow-ups on that, Diane?
No, thank you for that information from both of you.
Well, and I would say, this is Nancy again, I would say that if they went that route, the no-touch water fountains, that would be it. But to do it in place of the lead, I mean, it couldn't be related to the lead, because the lead is something that was ongoing.
And just to make a point, or along the same lines as that, I think one of the things that Nancy was touching on too was that we have to be really careful with the coronavirus relief funds, because it has to be very specific to COVID-related activities. So, for example, some of the issues around broadband, they had to be really careful that they weren't providing funds for broadband issues that existed before COVID, and only for those that existed during COVID. So to Nancy's point, if it was replacing a water fountain as is, it probably, because of lead, it would not be an allowable expense. But if you're changing the fountain to be a no-touch water bottle filler fountain, because of COVID, you can no longer touch the old fountain, the old school ones. I think that could be an allowable expense. So just trying to clarify that.
That makes sense, and it's a fine line, and maybe it's better to err on the side of caution is kind of what I'm thinking there. Thank you all for discussing that question.
Thanks, Diane. No, that is a good question, because it's been brought up before in conversations with superintendents. Are there any questions for McCall or Nancy at this time before I turn it over to Ken?
This is Dennis. I have one.
Yep, go ahead, Dennis.
Thanks. McCall, you mentioned there were 2 application deadlines. Am I to understand that if someone doesn't apply by the 2nd application deadline, then there are no other opportunities to apply?
Correct, because we will be sending out 2 payments. So that's why we have the 2 different deadlines. If folks get in early, they'll get their payment earlier. If folks choose to, come in on the August 14th deadline, their funding won't come until August 21st. So it's my goal to, personally be reaching out as much as we can to our public schools to make sure they can take full opportunity to apply by August 14th.
Okay, I appreciate that last date. Thanks, Dylan. I appreciate that last date. Some of our very smallest schools, besides the clerk, there's no one showing up probably the balance of this month. So they'll be after it once they get back in August. Thanks.
Yeah,
McCall.
and we're going to do, you know, as much outreach as possible. We want to make sure that schools are taking, obviously, full advantage of this. So like we did in the spring to track down all of those reports, I'm going to do the same, if not more, to make sure that schools can apply by the 14th. It's a super easy process. It should take, you know, no more than 10 minutes if they have all the things we're asking for. So it's pretty quick.
Thanks, McCall. So what I would just ask is if we could get some of this information typed up and a link to the application and all of that. Next week, early next week, Monday or Tuesday, we'll be sending out our monthly summary to district and county superintendents, and our Mass liaisons will also be touching base with our Mass regions next week. So we will want to be sure that we utilize our outlets to get that information out, because a lot of questions will probably be coming our way as well. Do you have something that you could get us this week?
Yeah, like I said, we're hoping to have everything finalized by Fridays, or at least by Thursday, so we can launch this on Friday morning. So as soon as I get that one pager together, I'll make sure that all of you have it to share with your members. Okay,
thank you. And then on the transportation piece, district and county treasurers will want to know funded deposit. Okay, that's a good comment there for coding. Just Nancy and McCall, as you're working on that, Denise's comment. Ken, I know that we've been working through the transportation portion of this. Is there anything that you want to share on that?
Yeah, and I'll go off on a tangent and then come back.
Okay.
The School Finance Division released Mayfairs on Friday. And so Mayfairs is open to all the school districts to enter their trustees' financial statement and budget. But we put a caution on both in the email that we sent out with the release and on the banner that shows up when you first log into Mayfairs, suggesting caution and waiting to enter the transportation budget. It doesn't affect PFS entry at all. Until we see what happens with that $10 million that's been designated for transportation by the governor's office. You know, as everybody knows, and we've talked about before, the funding for the transportation budget comes from three sources: local taxpayers, county taxpayers, and the state appropriation for transportation. And this is where the devil is in the details. When the governor releases how that money is going to be distributed, we will want to try and put together guidance and specific guidance about how school districts should prepare their budget for the coming year. And there were some issues that we sent to the governor in a letter. And again, those are things that we think are key for addressing. So McCall, I don't mean to put you on the spot. That's not my intent, but is there anything you have to offer about the transportation distribution at this point?
Governor Bullock did receive the superintendent's letter, and we are taking your suggestions under advisement. I do not have any more information for you other than that. Thanks,
McCall.
So just where all of this fits within the timeline, we're meeting again next week, and the applications will be opening in what, 2 weeks, you said, McCall?
The application opens on Friday.
Okay, it's due.
Funding payment will go out August 7th.
Okay. So Ken, when will we kind of need this resolved or an answer?
So you know, what we've kind of said is a drop dead date in terms of school districts finalizing their budget is August 25th. But the sooner the better, in the sense that school districts need to do the work that's required to create the transportation budget and determine how this program will fit into it, and then get it approved by their board. and entered into Mayfairs. So again, drop dead is August 25th, but I'm sure the governor intends on releasing something, in the near future.
Okay, so maybe next week, McCall, if you can provide us an
Dylan.
update on that, that'd be great. Or Nancy, yeah, go ahead.
Dylan, we've been working with OPI trying to figure all of this out, and we've got both our lawyers and your lawyers working on the details as to what we can do and how we can budget this so that we do this. The transportation piece of the funding will not go out until later, probably October or November, after budgets are submitted and verified and that sort of thing. So there's a lot still to be done for that, for the transportation piece.
Okay, thanks,
So-
Nancy.
So Dylan, this is Elsie. Nancy, thank you very much. I see in the chat box that you've been working with the OPI to get information out. I'm not aware of that. If you would, we can have a conversation afterwards to really discuss what is happening with the governor's office and our experts at the OPI. I'd be more than willing to do that, but I do not want information on a public meeting to be incorrect. Thank you. Thank you, Dylan.
And Superintendent, the governor did receive your letter on Friday, and so we, moving forward, will have all of our, conversations with OPI to go through you. So Nancy's referring to conversations that we had had before she was aware of the letter. So moving forward, we will make sure to do that.
Thank you. Again, it needs to just be transparent. That's what government is, especially on a public meeting. Thank you.
Great, thanks. Ken, or anyone else, anything else on this topic? Any questions from anyone else in the group?
I don't have anything else to offer at this time,
Okay.
Dylan.
Thanks, Ken. So great. It sounds like we'll be talking more about this next week then, and I'm sure in the coming weeks as well. I just wanted to provide a quick Teacher of the Year update, some positive news in these times. So we did have a great pool of applicants from all across the state to be considered for the 2021 Teacher of the Year program. All of their applications are complete, and we will be following the same process we've used the last few years. Cole Bartow, our content standards and instruction administrator, is overseeing this program, and we'll be getting together on August 25th, an initial review committee to look through the applications and narrow it down to 3 to 5 finalists that will, a separate committee will interview the following week. And then hope to announce that person in the first or second week of September. So that's, exciting news that even through COVID and stuff, we know that there's stellar teachers out there, and it's awesome that they want to stay involved and promote the teaching profession. So I did send out an email. All of you are invited to participate in those committees, either the review committee or the interview committee. If you'd like to do that, either as a representative of just your organization or as a representative of MTPEC as a whole, just send me an email and let me know as soon as possible. We want to make sure we have good representation on these committees. Are there any questions about or comments about Teacher of the Year? I don't see Linda on the line today, but Linda Ross is still just doing a stellar job, even though she can't be out in meetings and on the road as much as she had hoped. She's doing a fabulous job connecting with people around the state and around the country still through Zoom. So we're proud of Linda. Is there any other business that's not on the agenda or anything else, any other issues you're hearing or things you want to talk through? Great.
Dylan,
Yeah, Denise.
Dylan, this is Denise Williams. I just want to put in a thank you to the OPI School Finance Division for opening up Mayfairs. It's actually almost a week earlier maybe than last year. And I know our business officials appreciate it so they can start getting their work done for that data collection. So thank you to the OPI School Finance Division.
Thanks, Denise. Ken can share that with his staff. I know that they've been working really hard over the summer here with everything that's going on in the start of the new fiscal year. So thanks, Ken. Superintendent, any last minute remarks?
No, thank you, Dylan, and thank you all. Please stay healthy out there. It's a blessing as we reflect on other states and what's happened in schools with COVID. I think we are we're tracking well. We can do more, and of course, if we put our students first. So thank you all. Please stay well and enjoy this beautiful Tuesday. Thank you. Thanks, Dylan.
Yep. Have a great week, everyone. Talk to you later.